What a year it has been. I mean, think about it. What a year we've gone through. Think about the loss. The loss this year has been unbelievable. And yes, some people have lost more than others. Whether it's a loved one, a friend, a family member, but people have some significant loss from this pandemic. Maybe you've lost your business. Maybe you've lost your job. You've lost your financial security. We certainly have all lost our ability to be connected, to be social, to be out and about, to not be having to wear a mask every place we go. A lot of people have been isolated and withdrawn because they've had to be. We've had to think about things that we wouldn't normally have to think about. We've lost control over the things that we can do that used to be second nature. It's been quite a year. And as a result, there's been heightened emotion. There's been a ton of emotion that people have had. First, it started with fear and anxiety, the unpredictability of it, not knowing what is this virus all about and how is it going to impact us. The scientists, the doctors, they knew very little initially, and that created tremendous fear and terror and anxiety in so many of us. And then as we learned more and became more hopeful and more sure of the virus and how to treat it, but then there was still the isolation, there was still the adjusting to the life that we're leading now. And depression set in because people were feeling detached and disconnected for months on end. It's been a hard year. It's been a hard year for everyone in many different ways. And the impact, for some people, it's caused a lot of mistrust of whether it be not just our government, but maybe the CDC, mistrust of the doctors. There's been a lot of anger, there's been a lot of frustration, there's been a lot of resentment about how things have been handled, and a lot of conflict, a lot of turmoil. Sounds pretty depressing as I'm describing it, but you know what? We're moving closer to a new normal, but we're moving closer to getting back to some normalcy, because that's what we lost. We lost the normal life, quote normal, as we know it. We lost that. And as the vaccine comes out and as we get closer to herd immunity, we will develop a more, quote, normal life, whatever that is. But how has it impacted you? What has changed in your life as a result of this pandemic? And I'd like to ask you what you learned. What did you learn about yourself over this year? This was a year of reflection for sure. Did you learn that, you know what, I don't really miss being out and about with people because maybe I'm more introverted? Or I was dying to be around people because I'm an extrovert and I miss those socializations, those interactions with others. Maybe you also learned that exercise is something that is really, really important to you, or maybe not. But I'd like to ask you that question and have you actually discuss it with a significant other, a close friend, a spouse, maybe even with your children. What did you learn about yourself over this last year? Second thing is, what helped you in dealing with this tremendous upheaval, this tremendous change? What helped? What were the coping mechanisms that you leaned on? Maybe it was exercise, maybe it was relationships or family or friends. What is it that was your go-to and what worked? Now sometimes we lean on things that aren't the best for us. That might be food, That might be shopping. It could be alcohol or drugs or pornography. Maybe we found ourselves leaning on things that are not healthy for us. But what worked for you in coping with this year of loss, this year of the pandemic? The third thing is, what are your priorities? Did you learn a better idea, better focus of what your priorities are as a result of this year? Maybe you learned that the things that you thought were important aren't really that important. Maybe you realize how important people are in your life. And what are you going to bring forward from this experience? So for a lot of people, even though they hate multiple Zoom meetings, maybe they decide that that's not a bad thing, either for work or for family, staying connected with friends. Maybe they decide that those video conferencing calls are actually a good thing and something that they want to carry forward. So what are you going to carry forward from this year-long experience? And lastly, what has remained constant in your life over this year? As everything is changing around you, as there's this turmoil, this chaos, and you're trying to steady yourself and have that solid ground, what's been your constant in your life? For me, it's God. My faith, my relationship with God, that's what's constant for me. What is it for you? What has remained constant? Because we need that constancy, that stability, that security that we can lean on, we can count on. And we all need that. So I'd like you to reflect on those questions and have a discussion with your significant other about some of the things I've mentioned. Because it's been quite a year like no other. But we've managed through it. We've lived through it. And hopefully, we've learned through it. Until next time, Dr. Tony Ferretti, signing out.